I quite like these videos at the end of the day because I think there's been a lot of updates. I wouldn't say any of it's kind of really significant, nor do I think there's kind of major movement in a way we weren't expecting. But you know what? There's quite a lot of updates out today, and I thought it was worth commenting on it all. Obviously, the main thing we talk about is Leroy Sane, and that's in the thumbnail and the title, that there is strong interest in him. That comes from Gary Jacob and Paul Joyce of the Times. In fact, the tweet by Gary Jacob was, Arsenal target Leroy Sane as they close in on Martin Zubimendi. Now, look, these journalists at the Times, they're pretty accurate. I mean, over the years of following Arsenal transfer rumours, I think Gary Jacobs been pretty good. The best, I'd say, are Sammy Mockbell and David Ornstein. We'll chat about what Sammy Mockbell's had to say earlier today. But, you know, when you combine it with what Florian Plettenberg was saying at Sky Germany over the last month, that Arsenal were absolutely ready to pounce on Leroy Sane but have I ever done it? I might have overdone what he said. He basically said that Arsenal would be ready if Leroy Sane didn't sign a new deal at Bayern Munich. When you kind of combine it, you start to go, yeah, sounds like there's interest there. As Turkish has mentioned on Forever Arsenal, Berta's done this kind of deal before. David Villa, Luis Suarez, taking them from Barcelona to Atletico Madrid. And those players who are maybe seen as past it at Barca going on to lifting another league title. It makes you wonder whether Berta sees that. It's a very Arsenal signing to pick up a player like Leroy Sane, who played for Man City, who played under Mikel Arteta. It feels like Arsenal as well have these longer term targets they tend not to forget. Jorginho was one of them. I think we wanted Jorginho 2.5 years before we actually signed him for Mikel Arteta. So part of me feels that this might just be an opportunity Arsenal will do. If they want to add a 10 and they want to add a striker and they want to add a centre-back and they want to add a goalkeeper, who we've been linked with? Johan Garcia for 25 million. Zubimendi's a £50 million player. We want to spend 50 million on Howson. Supposedly we want at least more creativity in the team, and that's something Arteta's discussed when he mentioned literally saying the team needs more creativity, and we know that we want a 9 and that's going to be expensive. Do they see Leroy Sane as just sensible squad depth? You know, if you want depth for Ødegaard, well, you can get that in Waneri, and if you want depth for Saka, then you've got the free transfer in Sane and you're done. Maybe that's how they see it. I don't know. I mean, we've been linked to them in Birmingham, haven't we? So they clearly want something. It feels like they are interested in adding someone who can play on the right as well and help Bukayo Saka out. But maybe we don't want to be completely tied to that position because we want to use him in other areas because we know Saka is largely going to hold that down. I don't know. It's really hard to predict, but it feels very Arsenal. My prediction is we don't do this deal. My prediction is that Arsenal will just probably be happy to do the deal, but will be bettered by other clubs. I could see other Premier League clubs coming and doing the Leroy Sane deal and it not really making much sense for us to kind of go in so heavy on that when we are linked with the Rodrigo, the Nico Williams of this world. And yeah, so I don't think we will, but it's interesting that there's kind of reports about it. And I said on a video on the Goonerverse yesterday, titled Strap In for Chaotic Summer, I used Florian Plettenberg, not as someone who I felt was wrong and inaccurate in his reporting, but as someone who reports a lot and seems to have a lot of information on what Arsenal might be doing, but that can be a wealth of information from the players that are on our list to the players we're targeting, to the players we're in talks with, and there can be maybe, I don't know, a miscommunication in terms of what talks really means or how far advanced some of these deals are. I say all this to say that while we should be skeptical of almost everyone who posts and what they're posting and actually ask questions about what the information is, this is the journalist I'm talking about. You know, it's also a case of credit where it's due because Florian Plettenberg has been linking us with Leroy Sane and you know, potentially being ready to pounce on this lack of a Bayern Munich new contract for a while. And now we're hearing the English media catch up to it. So let's see. There's definitely legs in this. I'm not sure if it's one that will happen, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. Now, from one former City player to another former City player, Thierry Henry really wants Julian Alvarez at Arsenal. He said it on Stick to Football, on The Overlap with Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, Jill Scott, Roy Keane, Ian Wright. And he was talking about his hold-up play, his ability to drop into midfield, his ability to pull out wide, his ability to play in multiple positions, to run in behind. But he also talked about his fitness and his reliability and someone who's like always there, playing World Cups, playing Copa Americas, playing week in, week out for Atletico Madrid and Man City. You know, I said on this video on the Goonerverse yesterday, the same one I was just talking about, that Julian Alvarez has got 29 goals in all competitions. So what are we looking for here? You know, if we actually ask ourselves that, this is Thierry Henry, who you listen to because of what he's done in the game, because of how much he loves the club, because he's a legend, because he's a brilliant pundit and analyst. So you listen to Thierry when he speaks. So when he says Julian Alvarez is the one we're looking at, and I hear from other Arsenal fans that are really sceptical about it, I would say, okay, cool, that's not who I put forward as my number one. But what are we looking for? This is a player who, the numbers are there, the experience is certainly there, the age is good, the versatility is there. And I don't think people can convince me that we've looked better with a Havertz, Marino type, 6'2", commanding forward, your physical presence of a forward, more than we have a Jesus Trossard and maybe an Alvarez if we had that. I think when we've played with the more false nine type, with the more, versatile style forward, the more flary winger profile up front, I think we've played our best football. This year with Trossard, I don't think that's really been the case. But I think our football's been pretty diabolical most of the season. Diabolical's harsh. But I don't think it's been great anyway. So I ask you all, why? Because Alvarez isn't the target man, 40 goals season striker, but his numbers are brilliant. What are we looking for? And now Thierry Henry's spoken about it. I wonder whether people are going to change their minds a little bit on the potential of Julian Alvarez being the guy. Again, for Man City, so there's all that kind of carries weight. And in the Premier League, I think he did very well. I don't think he was amazing, because I don't think City fans were devastated to lose him. But sometimes you go, you kick on, you come back. I don't know, that happened to De Bruyne, right? I mean, think what people were saying about De Bruyne when he was going to Man City, Salah when he was going to Liverpool, after they didn't work at Chelsea. So if Thierry's saying it, I have to be honest, it does. I would have liked Julian Alvarez anyway. I'd have gone, yeah, really good player. But I think it's going to cost so much money. I actually don't think we will do that deal. But with Thierry Henry speaking about it more, and hearing the way he kind of spoke about it, for sure I'm listening. I'm definitely more excited about it than I was pre-listening to kind of Thierry discuss the deal. But we also know that the kind of fight for a striker, I mean, there's Marca saying that we are wanting Julian Alvarez. There's every journalist on the Sun saying it's Sesko or Gyökeres. But this from Mike McGrath at The Telegraph says that Sesko could be a £93 million signing. I saw somewhere else that Leipzig could want around £84 million. And when you're going to that level of money for a player, firstly you go, we'll just do the Gyökeres deal for 60 million. But also, that's just looking at the monetary side of things. If you're actually talking which player is better for right now, then Gyökeres is maybe still the better fit. But I think if you're getting to the 80s and 90s, then I do think Julian Alvarez is where I would put that money, simply because of the experience he's got and what he's been doing at massive clubs over the last few years. So let's see, I wouldn't go to 90 million for Sesko, but I think I said that about Isak a few years ago, and that aged badly, because that would have been good money at the time. And by the way, I think Newcastle ended up getting for 65 or something. So, why didn't we do a deal around then for around that money? And maybe the Isak deal burns Arsenal. Maybe they look at that and go, why did we not just do that? So I don't know, it's an interesting one. More stuff just around the strike situation. James McNicholas at The Athletic had this to say when answering a question on a sort of a discourse server, I suppose, kind of chat comment section of The Athletic. He says, I'm not going to get deep into the Sesko Gyökeres debate in the answer, but on Havertz, he is still seen as incredibly important to the team by Mikel Arteta and his staff. They really love the combination of physical, mental and technical attributes he brings. My prediction is that whoever Arsenal sign, Havertz will start the season as first choice number 9 and probably play a lot more games than many expect. That's James McNicholas, also known as Gunner Blog, on Kai Havertz. And people, it's exactly what I've been telling you all as well. Expect Kai Havertz to play a lot of football next season. I think the reason we're linked to maybe an Mbeumo, who could play as a 9, to Sesko, who's young and more raw and has played in other positions too. I think the reason we're looking at those players and maybe their favour to Gyökeres is because of the flexibility and the fact that they're not tying Arteta down to a signing that means he's not using Kai Havertz up front. I think whatever we think, I think Arteta still loves Kai. I think and I don't like that, but it's just the reality for me. And James McNicholas seems to think the same. So there we go. 2 Jameses think it. But no, in all seriousness, I've been saying that for a little while, people. I really do believe that as well. Last bit of news comes from Sammy Mockbell. I went into it in kind of good detail on AFTV in a breaking news video I did. but basically he's set to do a medical. Zubimendi. Sami Mokbel has been spot on and really at the forefront of not only the Zubimendi deal, but a lot of Arsenal information. Fair play to him, fair play. It's so difficult to be a journalist breaking big news in this day and age, and he's been doing it. He's at the forefront of everything Arsenal. So yeah, well done, Sami Mokbel. Everyone go give a follow to him because he's been top. All right, there's your news roundup and update. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll catch you all in a bit.